Good morning. Man, this is a packed room today. Y'all showed up. I love it. Well, welcome to Young Professionals. Thank you so much for being with us today. How was your weekend? Did you guys have a good weekend? How was your Valentine's? Wow, that's so cool. Okay. My bad. Actually, Gary wrote a really cool blog. If you didn't see the blog on our social media page, really cool. So if you haven't read it, I encourage you to read it. I thought it was really awesome. So hey, I love seeing all the shirts. And if you weren't with us last week for the retreat, I know it's been said, but you also got to give me a moment. Going up north, I went fully expecting God to move, and I was really praying for authentic community, as we had talked before. And man, I'll just tell you, God did what only God can do, and He exceeded any kind of expectation that I had. It was amazing what happened up north, and the messages were amazing, right? Yes. And it was just really cool to see the community just happening. I experienced that within the small group that I was in, but just being able to kind of watch it from afar, it was super cool. So I'm super excited for what God is doing through the retreat, and for all of us to bring some of that back into our new norm. And so, one of the things that we did on the retreat is we did something called affirmation circles. Anyone ever done an affirmation circle? Yeah, a couple of us, and those of us that went on the retreat. Let's go. So if you've never done an affirmation circle, the way this works is, just picture this circle here, and one of you would kind of get in the middle, and then the rest of you would spend about a minute just speaking affirmation into that person, right? Whether it's positive words, or whether it's traits that you see in them, or just affirmation, right? And I can tell by your look that you're thinking like, what the heck, that's super weird. And it's incredibly uncomfortable, right? It's absolutely incredibly uncomfortable. So here's the thing, I'll be the first to admit that I thought the same thing. When Ms. Kim showed me the agenda and I saw that at the very last activity that we had was in the affirmation circles, every part of me wanted to find a way to skip out on that activity, just because it was weird. It was weird. The thought of me sitting there for a minute while people are talking about me, it just made me super nervous. Like, what if people don't like me? You know what I mean? And I know that's stupid, but it's true. And but I'll tell you, it was probably, somebody was asking me this about what was the highlight of the trip. I think it was Yale. That was probably the highlight of the trip for me. And there was a lot of stuff, to be honest. I don't even know if I can really pick that, but that was for sure one of the top three. And it was incredibly powerful to be a part of the affirmation process, to purpose somebody else, but it was really powerful to be able to sit in there and hear what other people thought about me. As a matter of fact, I actually have my list. Can I read you my list?
Yeah.
I want to see what I said again.
So here's my list. So part of the process is we had somebody kind of be the scribe by the group, right? So somebody will grab me down. So here we go. I'll tell you my humble list. Faithful, humble, developer, relatable, truly caring, determined, honest, leader, protector, obedient, gentle spirit, genuine, bold, chases God's heart, family man, funny, and my personal favorite, beautiful. That was Jake. So here's the thing. All kidding aside, what was really interesting about that whole experience of the affirmation circle is that here's this list of words that are incredibly, we'll just call them encouraging, right? And I have a list for a reason. Like, I'm carrying that list as part of my stuff that I carry with me. But I don't know about you, but I struggled to receive that. And it was just really weird. It was really weird just sitting there, hearing all these positive things being said about me. And it was just like, it was hard. Because when I kind of self-reflect, right, I think of the list, and I'm like, faithful, like, man, like, I can probably think of the times that I got it right, like, oh man, you know what I mean? I don't think of myself as faithful. I thought of gentle spirit, and I was like, my wife would laugh at you, you know what I'm saying? I thought of some of these other ones like determined. And in my mind, if you guys only knew how often I wanted to quit. I thought of bold. If you have any idea how often I am like just overwhelmed with fear. Right? And it was interesting because as I kind of experienced that myself, and then I watched my group and I talked about it with some other people, I realized that I wasn't alone in that process. And it was interesting to watch people because it almost seemed like all of us experienced that. And it was weird because the conclusion I kind of landed on is just how the labels that we put on ourselves are so different than the labels that maybe others would put on us. Right? And here's what I'm telling you that is that as we have been talking since the beginning of the year about how to grow in our faith. Right? We've talked a lot about going all in. And this idea, I've been pushing you and challenging you to take that next step for you, right? Take that next step that's going to move you towards maturity in Christ. And what's interesting is that I feel really confident in saying that God has showed up in those last 6 weeks. And I think if I pass the mic around and say, tell us what's God calling you to go all in on. What is your all in next step? I think most of us in this room would be able to say, I have to work on this. Like, I think God showed up and said, Mauro, this is your all in moment for 2019 or for this season. Right? So then, what is your greatest enemy now? Exactly. Yourself. And so as I was kind of meditating on some of this experience and just praying about it and really seeking God to understand, I really felt like I said, look, this is exactly why I want you to study this series coming out of the retreat. You know, we took a lot of time. There was a lot of intentionality. When we built up our whole curriculum for 2019, we left one gap. And we said, I don't know what the gap's going to be, but or I don't know what we're going to teach after the retreat. Like, we really want to understand, what does God want us? We really want to be in tune with the Holy Spirit. We want to make sure we get that right. And I can tell you that I feel really confident that we're getting that right. Because as we go into this, the greatest enemy that most of us can face right now actually is ourselves. And so what we're going to start for the next 5 weeks is we're going to start this journey to understand, to equip ourselves on how do we win this battle within. Right? In the series obviously called I Declare War. So I'll tell you just really quickly, as I always, anytime we do a book study or we kind of go along with the book, this series is kind of inspired by the book I Declare War by Pastor Levi Luskos. And if you don't know who Levi Luskos is, look him up on social media. He's amazing. He's got a really powerful testimony. And he's kind of young, like most of us. And he just relates really well. And he's a great speaker. God's got his hand in him. And so I will just encourage you, like I always do, get the book. We're going to unpack some big principles here on Sunday. But the book, you can get a study guide that goes with the book, some videos as well. That's actually the content that we're studying in our life groups. Plug for our life groups. But again, hopefully if you just read along. I think you can get everything that God has through the series. I think you'll get a lot of it on Sundays, but I think you can really get everything if you read the book. Amen? Amen. Fun fact, before we jump in, I was talking to Pastor Rick, who is our adult ministries pastor. Some of you know him. He essentially oversees all of our adult ministries, the men's, women's, small groups, us, and everything else. And he saw that I was carrying around this book, and he's like, my small group is actually doing that study. And so I'm like, what do you mean? Like, who's in your small group? And so he starts telling me a bunch of people, and I found out that in his small group, Pastor Lynn and Lisa are in there. And so if it makes you feel any better, our pastors are actually doing a study with us right now in their personal walk. Right? So to me that excites me because I feel like anytime God does that, I feel like he's trying to do something. He's trying to do something. It's important that we kind of lead in. Amen? Amen. All right. So here we go. Let's jump into the Bible. Go with me to Romans chapter 7. And we are going to look at a part, we're going to look at an example from Paul's life where he is kind of navigating some of the stuff that we were talking about. If you have your Bible, awesome. If you did not bring your Bible, that's okay. We actually printed this for you. And so you can see it on that half pager. You can follow along there. We're going to read from verse 15 through verse 25. And I will ask you for grace in advance. Because once we start reading this, you'll understand. This is like, there's a lot that goes into what Paul's saying here. So, did you find Romans 7?
Yes.
Let's try that again. Did you find Romans 7?
Yes.
All right, so here we go. Let's go to verse 15. Here we go. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is no longer I myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Let's start again. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, there we go, it is no longer I who do it, it is sin living in me that does it. Verse 21. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is right there with me. For in my inner being, I delight in God's law. Verse 23. But I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind and making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. Verse 24. What a wretched man I am. Who will rescue me from this body that is subject to death? Thanks be to God who delivers me through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then, I find myself in my mind, let's try that again. I myself in my mind am a slave to God's law, but in my sinful nature, a slave to the law of sin. Okay, there's a lot there. Can anybody relate to Paul? Look, we're not going to totally unpack that, but what I wanted you to see is, I wanted you to see him wrestling within himself, right? So he's right there talking about his sinful nature, or the sinful nature in general. He's kind of looking back at the law and the impact that it has to sinful nature and everything else. But what I wanted you to see is, I wanted you to see how he was wrestling within himself, right? The way I have it in my notes is, there is a version of himself that he doesn't want to be anymore. You see that? And so he's battling to win the battle within. And maybe the question I kind of pose for us as we kind of get into this is, what does the version of yourself that you don't want to be look like? Let me ask that again. What does the version of yourself that you don't want to be look like? So maybe your battle within, maybe my battle within, maybe it doesn't have to do with sinful nature. Maybe it has to do with your thought life. Maybe it has to do with fear. Maybe for you, your battle within is you're just overwhelmed with fear and paralyzed by fear. Maybe for you, it's being overcome by anxiety. Maybe, just maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's how you spend your money. Maybe it's how you spend your time. Maybe the battle for you is a battle within your self-worth. The way the book asks this is, what's your war of choice? In other words, what's your battle within that you are wrestling with? You know, I find a lot of comfort in the fact that there are a lot of Bible greats, as I call them, Bible greats, that wrestled with a lot of these kind of battle within moments, right? I'll give you a couple examples. You know, about a year ago, we studied the life of Samson. You guys remember that? Yes. I sit down studying the whole time? Yeah? Yes. So we looked at the life of Samson, and, you know, there's such a calling on his life. And we talked about how he wasted so much of his legacy because he couldn't control his actions, right? He that battle within himself. He was his own worst enemy. The life of David, we studied the life of David. And again, this is the mighty David, right? The David of David and Goliath. And how he struggled in controlling some of his thoughts and how he became his own worst enemy. You look at the life of Gideon and his own perception on himself. He was his own worst enemy. You look at Peter when he fell in water, got afraid. Again, his own worst enemy. You look at Moses, his temper caused him to kill a man. In a lot of ways, became his own worst enemy. King Saul, paranoid, depressed, ultimately led to his death, became his own worst enemy. And I don't know, I found a lot of encouragement in that. It sounds weird to say, but I found a lot of encouragement in that. Because no matter what the devil tells you, you are not going through whatever your battle is, you're not going through that by yourself. Right? And I've told you this before, and I'll tell this to you as often as I can tell you. The biggest lie the devil will tell you is that it's just you. You're the only one wrestling with you fell in life. Right? Okay, so for me, I'll just tell you really quickly, and this is not about me, but this hit home for me. Two battles to me that are like just prevalent, that it's a daily struggle. The first one is with my thought life. And my thoughts, it's just weird. And I know it's just me, I know it's not you, I know it's just me. But for me, my thoughts, I am like on such a high, and literally in minutes, I'm like the worst human on planet Earth. Like coming out of the retreat, I was on a super high, life is awesome, everything is great. And by Wednesday, no joke, I'm driving in East Texas back from Marshall, Texas. Anybody know where Marshall, Texas is? A couple of you, okay, cool. I'm driving from Marshall, Texas to Dallas, Texas, and I'm literally contemplating, like, should I just quit? Literally, like, that is how drastic of a swing my thoughts had this kind of, what's that, 72 hours? The other one for me, and some of you are going to laugh, but the other one for me is this illusion of safety. And that is a true battle of my life. Like, I tilt towards safety all the time. And the way that becomes apparent is I don't try anything new. Yeah, you know that. I don't do anything that has any slight possibility that I might, maybe, just possibly, maybe, feel something I don't want to do. Right? Like, if there's a chance I might not like how that tastes, I'm not going to try. You know what I'm saying? And y'all laugh at me. I know I'm the only one. I know that's not you. It's just me, I guess. But we back to the retreat. We did this obstacle course in the retreat. Some of you know. So I use the term "we" like. Don't be under the bus I use the term "we" lightly because I use "we" as like we, not we. I did not do it. There was a chance you could die. But here's the thing, right? Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, so I want you to see this. So this is kind of what it looked like. Like there was a high ropes obstacle course, and I don't know why people were doing this, to be honest. And I kind of lost my train of thought. But so you have to climb up. It's not on here, but you have to essentially climb up a tree here, then go across a rope holding on to smaller ropes. And then your reward from doing that was you got to the log, which you have to walk across the log. You see Miss Erin doing an amazing job. And then your reward for that was you got to this edge right here, right there. And your reward for doing all that was you have to jump off. They try to kind of psych you out by putting a little swing there. Like nobody got it, but like except for Mark. Okay, I'm sorry. Some of you got it. But anyway, you still have to jump off, right? And so I'm like, why would you do this? So here's the thing. There's a point. I promise you there's a point. To me, it was actually really cool to kind of be able to watch this, since I didn't do it. I watched probably, I don't know, maybe 20 people go up there and do it. And it was just really cool to kind of sit back and watch each of them kind of navigate that. What I realized after is they were kind of navigating that battle within. Because it was never a physical thing. Every one of the person that tried it did it. It was never physical. Right? The battle was, how am I perceiving this situation? Am I scared? Am I intimidated? Am I overwhelmed with fear? Do I not care? I'm just going to go all in? There was a lot that went into that, but it was actually really cool. As a matter of fact, I thought it'd be fun. I have a video to show you. Do you guys want to see a video of it? Mm-hmm. I might sit on the couch for this. Here we go. I asked for permission. I'm just kidding. This was like the last minute. Hold on. We gotta get the audio right. 7 and 8. Can you move that up?
Oh, yeah.
After everything, after 15 minutes, this is a reward.
Yes. Come on, everyone, yeah.
So it was actually really cool to watch all of these people accomplish that moment of winning the war with him. You know what I mean? A lot of people got off and said, I will never do it again. Like, a once in a lifetime thing, and check. Right? But I wonder, you know, to me, I always wonder, like, how many times is that just picture, and how many times maybe is that us in our faith? Right? Where God's got us, she's got this harness on her, like nothing's going to happen. The worst thing that's going to happen is she's going to scream like she did. But she's fine. She's got a dude who's probably, I don't know, $180 on the bottom, kind of holding her, and he's strapped to a tree. So he's not But how often are we kind of like, in this sense, right, where we're just kind of like, I want to go, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it, I don't. And I do and I don't. And she's smiling, and she's like, I get you, but I'm scared. And all along, she's got this amazing journey ahead of her, right? Like, that was probably the highlight of the thing for her. And she'll never do it again for sure. But I just, until next year, she gets bullied again as a peer. But I just, again, right, I just take you back to, not 2 minutes. I just take you back to the original question, right? Is what's yours? What's your war of choice? What's your battle within? Right? And the book says it like this. The book says, all of us have a war we are fighting. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the actions we take, it shapes who we are. And I love what King Solomon wrote in Proverbs 4:23, and we're getting ready to land this and go into the table time. But Proverbs 4:23 from the NIV says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. The Passion Translation, if you've never looked it up in this translation, says it like this, says, pay attention to the welfare of your innermost being, for from there flows the well springs of life. So, super short and powerful proverb, but I want you to notice how it doesn't say, like, guard yourself around your surroundings. It doesn't say guard yourself around, even it doesn't even say anything about, like, guard yourself against the schemes of the devil. What does it say to guard yourself against? Your heart, right? And it's defined as your innermost being. And why do you need to guard that the most? Because everything you do flows from it. So, $1 million question, I'm setting you up here, but whose responsibility is it to guard your heart? Alright, let's try that again. Whose responsibility is it to guard your heart? Ours. Ours, right? My responsibility and your responsibility. So here's the good news. All the Bible greats that I told you about, right, that we looked at and said, man, they kind of became their own worst enemies. Every one of them, God still used them, right? Samson went on to kill the Philistines. David left this unforgettable legacy of a man after God's own heart. Gideon went on to unite the Israelites and defeat their common enemy. Peter went on to preach the word and impact the early church. Obviously, Moses went on to deliver his people. And so the good news is that God still worked through each one of them the same way He's going to work and can work through each one of us. But first, what did they have to do? They have to win the battle with it. Right? All right, so how do you win the battle within? How do you win the battle within? It starts by declaring war on yourself. And it starts by you declaring war against those tendencies that kind of move you in that direction. Right? And the book says, we can't win a battle you won't admit that you're in. So you ready to declare war on yourself?
Yes.
Let's try that again. You ready to declare war on yourself?
Yes.
Let me give you one last time, then we're going to jump into some table time. Why do you need to declare war on yourself? If there is no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do us no harm. I'll say that to you again. If there is no enemy within, because you won the war within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Amen to that? right, so you got some questions on your table. Let's kind of unpack this together as a group, and then we'll have some kind of big room time after. Go. Would you like to share anything from your table?
No, we get it. Thanks,
Yeah. Anything that kind of stood out to you guys? Maybe we'll kind of surface this side of the room first.
Oh, we got into that.
I didn't see the hand.
I'll talk.
All right, just go ahead.
So actually the question is easy to see yourself as who you have been rather than who you are becoming. And in what ways have you tended to view yourself through that lens? And for me, for so long, I would look into the future and say, this is where I want to be, this is what God's going to bring in my life. And I'd dwell on that, and it would come closer, and it wouldn't happen. And then I'd look back into the past and say, well, this is why this isn't happening, because you've messed up here, Sarah. You didn't do enough work here. You were kind enough here. And in the end, what happened is God just got me to this point where it's like, I need to be in the moment and be intentional and worry about what is happening in the present and be dedicated to that. And that's changed my perspective and how I view my future, because my future is in Christ. And because I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow or 10 years from now, but I can say that right now in this moment, I'm going to do my best to be dedicated to Him and to be walking in His way. So when I do mess up, He's there to catch me. And I may fall, but He's always going to dust me off and get me back on.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else?
So my gosh, so many things that the folks talked about at the table.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks so much. So we talked about how it's very easy to look outwardly, for instance, with the devil or other people causing us harm, but we often forget how we sabotage ourselves, and the tendencies that lead us along that path to put the roadblocks in our own lives and to cause harm to ourselves, and the lack of faith as well, which is a struggle for many of us. And that big point that the guys talked about was how we often get caught up in what's going on in other people's lives, the cars, the success, and all of that, and it causes us to struggle internally as to our value. We look at what we think has been success in the past, and that is causing us to wonder about what's the future version of us. What does God call us to in terms of success? So our thinking of success, or the world's thinking of success, our previous views of success are vastly different from how God views success. So as we meet Jesus, we're changed. Are we ready then to lean in to what Jesus is saying success for us is?
Yeah, I love how you started that also about how so often we look outwardly, right? I think I heard this table talking about kind of taking that victim mentality. There's a quote, I actually forgot to share this, but there's a quote that says, some people create their own storm and get mad when it rains. Sorry, Jake, you missed your moment. So here we go. Let's wrap this up. So look, today was just kind of like the appetizer. Okay, we're going to unpack this for the next 5 weeks, and I just want to invite you to come back because especially next week. First of all, did you guys like today? Yeah. Cool. So will you come back next week?
Yes.
And you bring somebody with you?
Yes.
All right, that was a couple of you. So I appreciate it. Next week, we're going to hit a big one. Because the first thing we got to get right is we got to get our thoughts right. And so next week, we're going to really unpack how to have victory, how to win in our thought life. And so I promise you right now, everything that could happen for you to not come next Sunday is going to happen this week. I've been there. It happens. That's how it goes. So just decide now and be here next Sunday, and then bring somebody with you. Right? I think help somebody kind of experience this breakthrough that I think God's going to do through this whole series. So here's your challenge for today, though. Okay, can I give you a challenge today?
Yeah.
Challenges.
All right. So the challenge today, we talked about you have to declare war on yourself. You have to. You can't win this war, or you can't win this battle within if you don't acknowledge the battle that you're in. And so here's what we're going to do for just a couple of minutes. Flip your sheet Flip through one page. I said jokes. We're going to spend a couple of minutes here. I just want you to be alone in your thoughts. I'm not going to ask you to share this. We're not going to go around the room. But I think there's a moment here for you to really just listen to God and understand what are some of those tendencies that are stopping you from experiencing the abundant life that Jesus is giving you. And I encourage you to be like detailed, as detailed as you can, right? Like, I need to stop looking at my phone the minute I wake up in the morning and answering my emails. That's it, right? And and the list can go on and on. Okay, we're going to spend just a couple of minutes sitting on that, and then we're going to press out. So, but declare your war. This is your moment.